It's not three things. My take on this WorldCoin, let me say, situation is that there are many people out there who are prying on communities and countries, developed or otherwise, where they know that we have young people and many other people who actually don't have jobs. So the issue is Kenyans are actually looking for employment. You get degree holders, you get PhD holders who would queue to go for a job for cleaning, for instance. The other day we saw people queuing in masses. I think it was in one of the stadiums for a cleaning job, county jobs or something like that. And they were giving their very heavy CVs, but they said at this point, because hakuna kazi, there's no work, you know, they are ready to take anything. And I think it is the same kind of situation where you have companies, individuals, people who have discovered that there is a loophole to misuse very desperate Kenyans. That is the situation. On the issue of whether it is legal or not legal, one thing that Kenya has, or Kenya does not have, is that we have given a lot of leeway to these online companies. There's a lot of leeway. In fact, to the extent that if you read my bill on data protection, what we are trying to address is that leeway. Because you have all these social media companies, all these platforms that will come with online things, online whatever, which we encourage. But you know, if today something was going to happen to a Kenya because of WorldCoin, where are you going to get them? You know, locally. Are they registered locally? As far as I'm concerned and the research that is there, they are registered in the US. Why are they registered in the US, but we are not seeing many people queuing in the US? They cannot say that it is just because Africa is special or whatnot. Those are some of the questions we need to ask. But for me, the most important thing is that they are actually collecting data from Kenyans, whether willingly or unwillingly or under duress, because someone who's looking for 7,000, if you tell them, open your eyes, I give you 7,000, you know, that's some level of duress. These are desperate Kenyans who are looking for jobs. So my issue is we need to understand what data are they collecting, who is actually going to consume this data or use this data, where are they storing this data? I have had people saying that no, they are not storing it in the cloud. They are actually storing it somewhere in a hard disk. We have our data protection laws as it stands now. And anything that is around personal data, we have laws and regulations. In fact, that is one of the amendments that I'm pushing, because on personal data, we are saying that when it's personal data, it has to be stored locally. But if you prove that abroad or wherever it is, you're storing it in the cloud, if you prove that it is secure enough, then you're allowed. So the question is of that legislation is, if you prove, who is the authority of checking that you have proven that, in fact, in the cloud that you're storing, you're not trading with Kenyans' data. But I'll tell you one thing. We are in the age of AI, artificial intelligence. It is a space most Kenyans do not understand, but it is a $1 trillion dollar business and industry. So don't think that there are stupid people who are queuing you because they are going to give you some form of online payment because, you know, macho ni nini, I will give. It is everything. They are collecting data. And by the way, when you define personal data is actually anything that gives away your health. You know, there's a definition of personal data, including that your eye, they can be able to say of African descent, they can be able to say, you know, of this and this descent. So bottom line is, as a government and as legislators, because now I'm speaking as a legislator, and I know that Senator Halwale has a statement that is going to read tomorrow in the Senate on the same. But one thing we are sure of is, as much as they're saying they have registered whatever licenses that they need to recruit, we want to understand where they are storing that data, because that is where everything begins, and who are the third parties that they are trading with that data. They might be paying you 7,000 Kenya shillings, but if I tell you today they're paying you 7,000 Kenya shillings equivalent on the online platform, then they are making like 500,000 Kenya shillings from you. Is that a fair deal? It's not a fair deal. So we need to understand all these parameters. And I urge Kenyans, do not believe in everything that is just brought to you in the form of, we will compensate you in this way or that way. Because the issue here is, the legality might not be challenged, but the moral ethics of what they're doing, if you ask me, is very wrong. There was an agency, First Choice Agency, and we were trying to find out how did we get thousands of Kenyans conned because there was some level of endorsement. What you're seeing now is some level of endorsement from different quarters. So Kenyans, they feel like if they see so-and-so supporting this, then this might be legitimate. Number one, we must sensitize Kenyans against imagining that anything that perhaps Senator Gloria Oroba says is okay. They must have, the civic education around data protection is key. And this one, I put the challenge in the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. They must do more civic education such that they tell people, by the time I am coming at the gate and I'm saying, give me your ID, give me your this, I should be able to understand, first of all, the data that you are collecting from me, how relevant is it to you? What is it being used for? So, number one, I honestly think the Office of the Data Protection Commission should have been forefront in ensuring that before we even think to endorse this person in any way, have they ticked the boxes? They are the same office that also ensures that if you're collecting personal data, they have to register you as a data processor. I am not sure if these people are registered as data processors. If they're registered as data processors, then we also have to have the confidence and the transparency of where they are storing this data. If you ask a Kenyan now what data was collected when they opened their eye, they cannot tell you. They cannot tell you if it is their name, if it is their generic. They can't. Personally, I can't even tell you if I open my eye and I do like this, what data are you going to collect? So that, first of all, should be transparent. What is it they are collecting? Because also they could be claiming unafungua macho, but really they are making count, they're doing other physical data mining activities. So we don't understand what data they're collecting. It's the first thing. The other thing that should have been done, I know that I've just seen a tweet from one of the media houses saying that the cabinet secretary for ICT says that this is legal. You know, a lot of things are done within the legal framework, but that is the reason why us as legislators were here, because we know the lacunas that are there in law. So you might be saying it's legal, but number one, we need to ask, the thousands of Kenyans that are queuing, have they benefited from this thing? How are they benefiting? Is it sustainable? Are we pushing Kenyans into another scheme? Because first agency, that first choice, whatever thing that was doing whatever they were doing in Uasin Gishu, apparently was also legal. But later we came to find out there were some wrong things here and there, and that is now what we are now dealing with as oversight. So instead of waiting until the last minute, for us as legislators, and I urge my fellow legislators, we have to ask these questions. Let that company tell us what they want with Kenyans, and even that incentive they are giving. How do you cash in? Let them sensitize us in this thing, because we are open for job opportunities. By the way, Kenya Kwanza is the government that is supposed to give all the jobs. Our manifesto was about creating jobs. So I'm not against creating jobs. But I want to create, as a legislator, jobs with dignity. And we must protect our Kenyans. The same with the people we are sending to Saudi Arabia. We are sending them, we are saying we cannot stop that trade. In fact, Kenya has the highest human resource, but we need to safeguard the lives of Kenyans. So what are we doing to safeguard the lives of Kenyans? And that is a challenge that I want to pose to our ministers, to our cabinet minister. We are supporting ventures that we understand and where we know that the Kenyans are actually protected. So far, personally, as Gloria Oroba, outside of me being a legislator, I have done all the research, and you know my background is in ICT. And I can tell you, there are so many red flags that I would like answered, and I hope through Senator Halwale's statement tomorrow, we are going to be able to debate and demystify and take action if we have to take action. But if it's okay, if they can also come out and give us this, the information we need, and we are okay with it, then we can also tell our cousins and our relatives who are looking for friends, oh, hata nyinyi, you go and muingie kwa hiyo msafara. You understand? Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, in a country where unemployment rate is quite high, in a country that are not
In fact, thank you.
jobs for
Yes.
It's beautiful. One might accuse you of scaring away potential investors who are here to create jobs for this. What are you saying?
I will say the right investors are not scared by critique. And the right investors who are not hiding they're hiding behind something, do not mind complying to the law. By the way, yesterday the Konza bill for Konza City went through second reading Unfortunately, I just missed 2 votes to go to the next stage. That Konza bill is supposed to give confidence to investors. So if it is about giving confidence to investors, you're not going to give confidence to investors by opening the market and not regulating it, by putting Kenyans in danger. Supposing the thousands of Kenyans that queued yesterday, where they queued, supposing, and this is just supposing, after that, whatever activity they were going through, supposing thousands of them became sick, who are you going to blame? I mean, you know, investors are also understand, if you're going to penetrate a market, you must be able to comply. We are a country like any other country, and we are not going to be taken for fools. This is not a test market. This is not a market where you come and say, because we have been burnt in the US or we have been burnt in wherever, in Africa, we go and try because those people, they like investors. No, we are saying we are open for investors, but investors must comply, and we have to safeguard the lives of Kenyans.